Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Let's start today's session for reorientation of UPSC classes for UPSC plan. Today, the topic that we are discussing or the session that we are focusing on is about how to do the topic allocation. Now, what are the key important factors that are required for topic allocation or allocation of topics? Right? That is the theme that we are going to discuss today. So, what is the first thing that should be done when you're concentrating on allocating topics? If you're a DTL or a TL, what is the primary thing that you will have to do? First, you will refer to this first step will be you will refer to the syllabus that is there. The syllabus of the particular board. For now, we are talking about UPSC. So we will refer to the syllabus that is in there for UPSC. Though we are concentrating on the prelims program, you know that the prelims or the syllabus that is given for prelims is actually not very elaborate. So where do we have the elaborate syllabus for UPSC? It is when you see the syllabus for mains examination, right? Am I clear? Am I audible? Krish and someone with the number. Am I audible? So the syllabus, I don't see anyone telling me if I am audible or not. So I'm assuming that everything is okay, right? So the syllabus you refer to is the elaborate syllabus for the exam, that is UPSC mains. Once you refer to this, then you will have to refer to the syllabus that is there as per the schedule of our exam. So you will refer to the schedule that is given to you for UPSC Icons program for that particular day or for that particular test code. That is what you will have to first concentrate on and identify the key themes or the topics that are mentioned in that schedule of that test code. It becomes easy for you only for you to understand what are the themes that you need to make questions on for daily test, for sectional test and revision test that is there. Now that is your first step to understand the themes that are in place. Right? Now when you understand and go through the syllabus thoroughly of both the board, the UPSC board, the main syllabus that is there, and then for that particular day, what syllabus is there, then you have to draw lines with what are the subtopics or sub themes that can be asked as questions. Now these topics or the themes, for example, if we are taking a subject like polity and the theme is say president, right? Now this is the theme that is given in the syllabus as per your schedule in that particular day. Now this will become your theme. You will have to ask maybe at least 10 questions as per the requirement of or the weightage that is given. Now this on same theme of president for a daily test, you might be asking 10 questions. Am I clear? Now this becomes president becomes the theme. Now what are sub themes or subtopics? First, you know what are the qualifications that are required for a person or for a citizen to be president. So that becomes your sub theme. Right? Then another sub theme can be what is the process of election for a president. what is the process of a removal? Then what are the different kinds of powers that a president has and functions that he has in that role? So these are all the sub-themes that are there. It is easy to identify the sub-themes. Now to understand what is important here is you know very well what are the topics, what are the subtopics from the textbook you are referring or from the primary source that you are referring. From the index you will get to know what are the topics and subtopics. Now what is more important here is for you to understand what are the themes or subtopics, the sub-themes that are relevant to the exam. Now, how will you identify what are the themes that are relevant to that particular exam?
సాయి చూడు సాయి ఇప్పుడు వచ్చేసాడు ఏ సాయి
Huh?
సాయి ఏది క్లాసెస్ ది పైన
Okay. So now we know that we need to identify which of the themes are relevant. And how do we do that? We do that by referring to PYQs. So step 2 will be for you to refer PYQs. Now, why are we referring to PYQs and what should be done while or what should be the understanding when you refer to a PYQ? We are not trying to copy the same PYQ or we are not trying to ask the same question again in our test. So why are we referring to PYQs? The understanding of this or the understanding of what we call as reverse engineering technique, that has to be very clear. Firstly, when you refer to a PYQ, you need to first identify what kind of themes are being asked over a period of time. In the recent years, say in the last 10 years, or the compilation that we have, how did it change in 45 years? So what were the themes that were asked 25 years ago? How did it change? What kind of questions or how did the questions evolve in the context of format, in the context of change in sub-themes, and in the context of whether they are asking, looking at some factual for you to remember a factual knowledge or they are asking you the analytical part of the concept. So that should be your approach when you see the PYQs while you're searching for the themes that need to be asked for a particular topic. Now, once you recognize the themes and you draw lines between the recent years, what kind of topics are being asked and what were asked before, you can come to various conclusions. Say, for example, the same president, you can see that maybe past 10 years, they were asking only questions that are there in current affairs in that particular year. Instead of asking anything from anywhere or just taking the static portion, they are trying to ask something that is there in the current affairs. And you might have observed one more conclusion could be that they are more statement based questions rather than direct questions, right? In the statement based questions also, when there are 3 to 4 statements that are being asked, you might have observed that 2 statements are from the static portion and 1 statement is analytical and 1 statement is regarding the current affairs that happened that particular year. So that could be a trend that you might have observed in the last recent times of the PYQs. So now you understand how you ask. Like for example, in polity, if you see the pair-based questions are more free in the last paper of 2024, if you see the pair-based with the 3 columns have been introduced. So now you know that such kind of questions are introduced. You understand how the trend is changing. So you should identify the themes where you ask such questions, and you also identify in which kind of themes such questions are being asked by the examiner. So this should be the approach for you when you are referring to PYQs. You will not just see the question and its format, whether there are 20 direct questions from the subject or 15 statement based questions. Your thinking should not stop there. You should analyze what themes, on what basis, how, in which format they are asking, and in the format also how they are giving the statements. So you need to identify, and you also need to see how many times a theme is being repeated. If it is being repeated frequently since 45 years, that becomes a important theme. And if that important theme is there in news recently, you can consider as a probable question. And then you can ask 360 degrees of that concept, from static to analytical to current affairs, linking it to various other concepts that is there in the subject. So this is the kind of analysis that you will have to make to understand the topics that are there for topic allocation. Moving on, next thing in mind while topic allocation, when you starting the topic allocation, is the weightage. Now, what is this weightage? For UPSC in particular, like APPSC, there is no particular weightage for the final question paper. Any number of questions can be asked from any kind of theme or sub-theme. So this is what we see in the final paper. The final paper is what is reflected in the FLTs, not in the daily tests. Right? The paper being not understandable, like how many questions are asked from each subject or each theme, that also you can actually define from the past trend. Like at least you know that questions like 15 questions are there from environment, sometimes it is 20, sometimes it is 17. So you see that at least 10 questions are there from polity. So you know the minimum amount of number that is there. So we will give you the weightage for FLTs, and we expect you that the same number of questions should be reflected for FLTs. But for daily tests, it is not the same. For daily tests, if we are mentioning that we need 50 questions and we are giving you 10 themes, we expect you to make 5 questions per theme. Even though it is not said, even though you know that it is not a rule or norm from the UPSC board, we still expect you, because as per our schedule, if we are giving 50 questions in a daily test and giving you 10 themes, we expect at least 5 questions from theme. For some themes, if you think that we cannot give 5 questions, you can make it as 4 questions at max and give the extra question to some other theme that is elaborate. But we expect the ideal situation to be 5 questions per theme. This is the weightage that you will be following for daily tests and FLTs, right? Even though again, you might again have a argument or debate on this, saying that the final paper has never a fixed number of questions for each subject, but still we will go with a uniform weightage so that the papers look uniform. Understood? Any doubts till here? Anyone is having any doubt? Krish is Kishore, I know Kishore. we have discussed what will be the weightage of the questions that you need to allocate. After this, what is the fourth step that you will do for topic allocation? The important thing for UPSC is how to link current affairs to the static portion that is there. Now for this, every developer, team lead, okay, we'll start from the topic addition part. We're talking about topic addition. So every team lead or DTL shall read the newspaper daily. It is a norm that you read newspaper daily and collect the important themes that are there in news. Do not pick every small and trivial information that is available in the newspaper. First, you need to select the topics that are there in the newspaper as per the syllabus only. So choose the topics that are actually repetitively there in news. Not just the news occurred somewhere once, not some trivial information or a fact that is given. Unless it is a huge news that has been repetitive, it generally doesn't show up in subjects like polity or economy, right? If it is a very trivial information, it is not asked. If there are any new schemes or there are any personalities who are celebrating their 100th year of birthdays or death anniversaries, only then such kind of questions are reflected. So make sure what are you focusing on. Do not focus on something, say like the budget allocation has, for example, for a scheme has last year has been 2000 crores. Now it is 2200 crores. That cannot be a statement in a 3 statement or a 4 statement question. That is too trivial to for anybody to remember, and it is not relevant in the exam. If there is a huge difference, say that 10,000 crores were allocated and now it is some 1 lakh crore. I have already written 1 lakh here. If it is growing 10 times or 5 times, then maybe it is important. And make sure if it is not mentioned anywhere in PIB or it is not mentioned anywhere in the news particularly, or there are discussions over it, then also it becomes irrelevant for the exam. If there is discussion over it and there are meetings or the politicians are speaking about it in both the houses of the parliament, there is a huge discussion, only then it becomes more relevant for the examination. Otherwise, if it is just a news on day one and then it disappeared, that doesn't make it relevant at all. Moving on, let's also understand what do we mean here by trivial information and important information and how to data mine. So the major problem that we have observed with the developers is whenever we give a topic and subtopic, all you need is a source link. Without source link, the developer is unable to develop any questions. So what are you expecting? You are always expecting for a source link to be provided by the team lead. This is not advisable at all. The source link, if provided, it is well and fine. If it is a topic that cannot be found very easily, only then source links will be provided to you, or you can ask for a source link. If we are talking about, say, some important COP29 outcomes or something like that, it is everywhere, it is there in news everywhere, and you know that even UN releases the information in the UN summit's website, in the UN organization, in UNFCCC, and there are separate websites for even the COP meetings, right? But still you say the source links are not provided, so we will not be able to develop, or the quality of the question has come down, or we are taking more time to search for the source links. You have to try and data mine. So firstly, let us talk about how to search for source links. The major agenda of today is how to develop, like we have already seen in my previous session also, I have discussed how to search. Now let's say there is a topic on biodiversity. Always I cannot give environment. Let's say some topic on repo rate is in news. Okay. Now, if this is in news, there is an increase or decrease in the repo rate by RBI. Now, this is the news that is there in the newspaper. Firstly, newspaper is a secondary source which cannot be given as a source. So whoever till now are used to give links from the Hindu, the Indian Express, it is now not allowed. You cannot take newspapers as a primary source. If you are referring to any kind of news article, you will have to see from where the news article has been picked up, right? So even the news article is written on basis of some primary information, right? You cannot get any kind of newspaper article from which the government is not aware of or the government is not publishing. Even if it is biodiversity and endangered species, you know that the Hindu is picking all such information either from IUCN or from WWF, and it is mentioned in the article from where they're picking up. Sometimes they take journals like the Nature journal and they write. Whenever they're stating the fact, they will write it in the same statement as seen from the findings of the Nature journal or Nature and Science journal, right? So you know that this is the primary source from where they're picking up their information, and they are interpreting and writing their views. So we do not want to write what is their view. We are only concentrated on what are the findings that are there. And in the findings, if you are observing some kind of trends, like there is an increase, there is a decrease, such kind of trends will become the analytical question. Otherwise, the fact in itself will become the static part of the question or the statements in the question. I hope that is clear. So no more using of newspapers as your sources. They are not primary sources. You will be only using the primary information from either NCRTs, NIOS, university textbooks. Now, all you have to say is, ma'am, the content that is there is not updated. Any content is updated in the Press Information Bureau from that particular ministry. All the content is updated there. If it is not even found there, you have the ministry website itself. You will have to find the information from all these primary sources. If not from there, then from the UN website, then for pollution, you have US EPA, Environmental Protection Agency of the US. Also, you will have to search for websites like DRDO, ISRO for Science and Tech, where you get all the information along with the current affairs, right? You are not willing to search the content that is there in the websites, and just because the newspaper is readily available, you are just going and referring. For species especially, you can refer to WWF, all the endangered species. Every endangered species or a critically endangered species or a threatened species, has a page in World Wildlife Fund for Nature website as well. So please go and collect information from here, which is more authentic than the newspaper. The newspaper, the statements are very confusing. You never know in what context they are interpreting the facts, right? Whenever they are interpreting, they are getting multiple views from various different agencies, putting them together and writing their own feelings or views about it. So when you're stating the same fact, it might be negated by some other person, right? Some other newspaper might feel it differently or interpret it differently. So we do not want to take personal interpretations of the secondary sources. We just want to take what is the fact that is there in the comparative studies and analytical studies of the facts. Nothing more than that. That is all about data mining. So when you see a topic, you will search only from from the primary sources. You will not go out of primary sources. If you're seeing, now again, ma'am, you have asked us to refer to the newspaper, but you're saying you cannot use the newspaper. Take newspaper as a source. When you find, mark the news, read the news, and understand from where they're picking the content. That will be your source. From where they have picked the content, that will be your source, not the views of the article writer or the editor that has published the newspaper. I hope that is very clear. From where you will collect and how to refer. Then for economy, what are the sources or how do you analyze the trends and make questions? You know, always it is Economic Survey of India, budget if that is there, the budgetary allocations that are there. You can also refer to the Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha pages that are available, websites. If there are any important debates, you can see the views of the particular leader and then see if the topic is relevant for you to make a question on it. All right. So these will be your, in particular, what are the primary sources that are there. Anything with .gov.in will become the primary source, like myscheme.gov for schemes. Yes. Any other doubts regarding how to data mine or how to select a topic, or are there any questions till now? Kishore, clear? No. Okay. So what is next? Now you know how to allocate topics or see how a topic is, when a topic is allocated, what to do, or what are the themes that are there, how to understand the themes, how to think on what lines you can think about the sub themes, right? After doing this, the major problem is for you to understand is not go out of the syllabus. Now, how will you understand that what is under the syllabus, what is out of the syllabus? Again, it can be only understood by or by analyzing PYQs only. You will be able to understand what is inside the syllabus, what is outside the syllabus, which kind of subjects are asked in depth. In S&T, they will never ask you the complete in-depth analysis or facts. I mean, in-depth analysis of the project. All they need for you to know is what are the new developments that are happening in the country as well as globally. Right? Now, if we are talking about SpadeX, that is recently in news. You know, SpadeX, the technology is again copied or is again a Indianized version of what is happening in the US, right? When you know this, then you already know that you can compare it with some other thing, some other technology that is already there globally. So you know there is an indigenous project and a global project that is happening. And now what happens, how to differentiate is, when you're asking in daily tests, you can ask them individually. You can ask about SpaceX or SpadeX differently as different questions. But while you're asking in FLT, whenever you're asking about any particular, say about the country, in the same context, you will compare it with the project that is running simultaneously elsewhere in the country. The same you must have observed the ranking that is given in technology wise, or you can see which is the, when questions are asked in Gaganyaan or Mangalyaan, again, India is the third country that has achieved this technology or this feat in the world. So that comparative statements are observed in the questions as well. So for you to compare, you need to understand what is happening in the country as well as globally and frame the questions. Such questions are called as comparative questions. So in UPSC, what we are expecting from the developers is to make comparative questions. For that, you need to not stick correct, I mean, just do not narrow down yourself to the topic that is present or in the sheet. You always have to think, what can I connect it to, so that it becomes more relevant, it becomes more comparative and analytical. For you to understand what kind of statements were asked, or how can I ask such comparative questions, always you have PYQs to understand how did they compare. Did they compare from state to country? Because in state PSCs, you know, they are asked from the top district to the bottom districts. Such comparison is done. So do I have reports from Niti Aayog saying, say, cleanest city is from to the top clean 3 cities? Is it asked as a previous theme, or is it comparing two different countries, right? So what kind of questions are being asked? Can I compare states? Can I compare state to the country, or can I compare country to country? Is it relevant? So for you to understand all these comparisons, you will have to understand what has to be done. For that, PYQs are very helpful. So now you have done your homework on particular topic that is given to you. In a topic action sheet, you know that these 10 topics are from president that that topic team lead has allocated to me. You will first see the syllabus, whether the weightage is right. Then you start seeing what are the topics or the questions that have been asked in previous 10 years or 15 years or 20 years, how many ever years you want to refer to, and see what is the trend. Are there many direct questions on that topic, or are there matching questions on that topic? So you know what kind of questions can be framed and what kind of sub themes are most relatively asked. If you do not find any question on that particular topic in previous 10 years, say 15 years, that means the questions or the topic is not mostly asked in the exam. Then you have your liberty of asking that question in any format that is there in the whole subject, right? Till today, they might have not asked any question on the topic, but you never know if they will ask, or in future they might not. You cannot judge, right? So when you cannot judge, you have the liberty and scope to ask it in various ways. So there you can use all your innovation type of questions, putting it in a description model or in a graph model, right? And one more thing, when it comes to innovative questions, I have seen developers, whenever we have asked the developers to give innovative questions, and they always strived or thought, we want all the questions to be innovative. We do not want all the questions that are allocated to you to be innovative or something different from the natural pattern of the examination. Here, all we are trying to ask is at least 2 questions for every 30 questions. So if a developer is giving you, he will at the most ask you to give 15 to 20 questions per day, right? For part-time and full-time. So we are expecting you for one question every day, which is innovative. Now, what is an innovative question? If I'm asking statistics, giving statistics of vegetation of a particular area or the trees that are available in a particular area in a bar graph. For a question in geography, that becomes innovative. Statistics is usually seen either in CSAT or in economy. But if you are asking a pie chart representation of the trees or the trees that are available in a particular region, and you are trying to, or you are asking what biome is it, or does the pie chart refer to, then the question becomes innovative. Firstly, such kind of questions have already been asked previously. So even if you refer to PYQs, you can make such questions. Secondly, if you are trying to compare various things in all the statements, then also it becomes an innovative statement, innovative question. If you're making a complete analysis of a static topic that is in current affairs, in news, and that has not been asked till date, that also becomes an innovative question. You are asking maps in polity or in history. You have marked 4 places and said A, B, C, D are 4 places. They belong to which kingdom of the, say, Mauryas? Which of the following places that are marked in the map are capitals of Mauryas? So you know that the capitals have been shifted from one city to another. So out of 4, you might have marked 2 places or 3 places that are actual capitals under the rule of Mauryas, right? So that also becomes a innovative question. So you just have to think on broader lines. You have to have the bird's eye view of each and every subject that you are dealing with. Now that we have a task team, let me tell you. Now the task team will be developing for all the subjects. There is no say that you cannot say that I will not be developing this subject or that subject in particular. As aspirants, when we are ready to prepare for all the subjects, we need to be aware of at least the basics. We are not expecting you to make questions out of, like, we are not like blindly, or to remember and to retain something and make questions. We are asking you to refer as many sources as you want, read as many sources as you want, and make questions. So once if you are thorough with the PYQs, you will first understand what are the themes, what are the sub themes, what are the important themes that are asked. Once you're aware of it, then you know what is happening in the current affairs. Once you have this in your back of your mind, whenever you see a topic, when you're reading some topic, you will immediately be able to connect. When you're making different subjects, you will be able to interlink one subject to the other and make more analytical questions, right? So when you're sticking to your subject, the niche becomes very, very subjective, and only that particular topic that is being given, you are only trying to revolve around the topic that is there and the subtopic. Just you are trying to mention those 2 words in every question. Instead, we want you to have broaden your boundaries and move and see how the developments are there in other subjects, how to interlink that with your subject, how to make it more innovative, more analytical, more comparative, and most importantly relevant to the UPSC syllabus and the UPSC question paper that has been asked. So that is the objective. I hope I am clear about the objective and the outcome. And what are we trying to look at when we are giving you themes, when we are allocating a topic sheet to you? So the homework is done by the team leads, by the DTLs, as well as the effort has to be put from the developer side as well. The developers also have to understand what are there, how to understand what are the themes, sub themes that are given, how to develop, how to data mine, what are the primary sources, whether you can use newspaper or not. Yes, so these are the things that I wanted to mention. So apart from that, if you have any other doubts, I will take the doubts. Any other doubts? Kishore garu ఏమైనా doubts ఉన్నాయా? Video has been stuck. Is it clear now, Kishore? Clear? Now okay. కిషోర్ ఇప్పటివరకు చెప్పిన దాంట్లో ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయా? I know there are no participants right now, but I know you will be watching this video later. Whenever you watch this video, whenever you're making understanding how to make topic addition or how to use your resources, what are the resources that you need to look forward, how to data mine a particular topic, always understand PYQs and syllabus is the key. How the more you try to understand the syllabus and the PYQs, it becomes easier for you to crack the exam as well as make the questions easily. That is the basic that we want you to do. Apart from that, build over the basic. Do not skip the first basics and then try to make questions on your own, like you're making it from the reading comprehensions. Just taking a sentence from the explanation or from the textbook or from some article, news article, or PIB for that matter. If you're taking a paragraph, just putting it there, pressing enter, making 3 statements. Whenever it is possible to, or India is the 3rd largest country, then you are removing 3 and putting 4 there to make it incorrect. This will not suffice. This is not what is expected. Such questions will be marked as low quality questions, and the questions will be sent for redevelopment for the developer. So from here on, accountability of the developers is also taken very seriously. If you are giving us low quality questions, it will be asked. You will have to explain the low quality questions that you are giving, even after explaining you how to work on the content or the topics that we are allocating. So the details, if they are not giving relevant questions or the weightage is not followed, even that will be questioned and followed up. So take the work seriously. Make sure that the work that you're doing is helpful for your preparation. Understand that it should be two-way, right? It should be both helpful for your preparation as well as for the work that you will have to contribute the same to the work that you are being paid for. So I hope the session is clear and the objective and outcomes are also very clear. Thank you. Thank you for the session. Thank you. Kishore, thank you. A message. My microphone is not working, ma'am. That's why on chat. Okay, no problem, Kishore.